What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another NBA report on the MBK network. It's another fun night for NBA basketball. I guess there's certain things that have taken place that have happened that I wasn't really looking forward to saying, but I'm happy. Listen, it's fun times, bro. John, you know, your guy, he's in the playoffs, man. You know,
Listen, we in the building. We are in the building.
Yeah,
and
man.
I thought Luka was going to show off, but you know, listen, he did his thing. He did his thing in the previous round. So you gotta give him props. I gotta give him props for that. He showed up against those Phoenix Suns, and yeah, now they're in a they're in a tough matchup. They're up against perennial champions themselves, right? Because they're what, maybe 3 years removed from their championship, something like that. So
Hey, man,
it's gonna be an interesting series, man.
But listen. Say what you will about Luka. He ain't just show up. He smoked them Phoenix Suns in that game 7. Smoked.
He did.
I'm like, whoa.
He did.
That was bad, bro.
There were shades of like Larry Bird. you know what I'm saying,
bad, bro.
Yeah, he did his thing. Listen, I think I shared with you a clip, and we could talk about that a little bit because the clip that I shared with Ron, everyone, was sort of someone breaking down what the Mavericks did defensively against the Phoenix Suns, and I think they made the defensive adjustments, and it counted. Kidd and his team, and his coaching staff made adjustments. The players paid really close attention, and they schemed really well against the Phoenix Suns, and it showed improved. Not to mention, you got a player like Luka who put up a bunch of numbers and did really well against them. So it's a good turnout.
You're right. I mean, listen, I give a lot. Like I said it last week. I'm gonna continue to say it. I got to give a lot of credit to that Dallas team.
Yeah, surprised.
And give a lot of credit to Jason Kidd. I think it's evident that he's becoming a much better coach. Yeah. He understands the X's and O's. It was all about kind of really. I think maybe it was about him understanding how to coach, how to take the player out of it, and just be a coach. Because maybe, and I'm not saying that that's the case, but you see that happen sometimes with really good players. Like when they get into coaching, they're trying to explain stuff to players, but in the way that they would do things on the court. And sometimes that doesn't translate because other guys don't have that same ability. They don't see the court the way you do, so they can't get it. But when you kind of put more time and you run your laps as far as it goes in coaching and get that expertise in, you start to learn how to come at it from different angles and how to approach things differently and really get your point across. I think that's what happened to Jason Kidd. I think he's gone through the gambit of being in the NBA as a coach and learning, going get the bumps and the bruises, and I think he's got it now. I think, and plus, listen, say what you will about the Dallas Mavericks. I say it all the time. As far as offensive threats, they don't have a lot, but defensive players, they got guys who play defense.
But they also got shooters.
That's
one thing they do have. They got guys who could shoot the ball well, right, at a high percentage. This first game against the Warriors, I mean, it's no indication of how they shot the ball in the playoffs so far. But I think if they get those same looks, I think it's a closer game. Moving forward, I think we're going to see a lot of that. So we'll see. But it's a testament to the work that they all put in. You know what I mean? The team and the coaching staff, and I'm sure the front office also, had their back. But Jason Kidd is someone who sort of could adapt, to any situation. He adapted as a player over time. He grew into a 3-point shooter at one point, right, in his career, and ended up winning a championship at the tail end of his career. But understanding the game and understanding that, the players around him and young players, some of them who idolize Jason Kidd, he has their respect. You know what I mean? Because a lot of them witnessed what he was able to accomplish. So I think him understanding that and him taking his time to sort of help develop these players and figure out what sort of scheme they want to play. I think it all came into fruition against the Phoenix Suns, who, by all means, I think you could have said it would have been like a 90-10 split, right? Where individuals would have been picking Phoenix to win that. I mean, I know I picked Phoenix to win that series, but yeah, I was wrong. I was definitely wrong, and I was definitely wrong about Luka. You know what I mean? I'm gonna give him his props. I still think he's a bit methodical, but hey, he did his
You
thing.
okay,
so
bro?
I gotta give him props. Listen, I'm giving love.
I know this is hard for you right now.
It is. I'm choking up inside.
Yeah, man. Listen, Luka did the damn thing. He clearly is. It's like what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. But Luka won. Luka won the battle. So,
Yeah, he did. He did.
'cause, I mean, who would think that who would think that any of these teams prior to the finals would be able to knock off Phoenix? And who would think Dallas would be able to knock off Phoenix with everything that Phoenix has done this year? 64 wins is nothing to sneeze about, man.
Yeah.
And I see there was a video going around on Twitter and Instagram of the Phoenix Suns like dancing and clowning around in like the locker room or whatever, doing some real stupid stuff. I don't know. It looked kind of stupid, but whatever. They're just having fun. And people are like, that explains a lot. Yeah, it doesn't explain anything really, because when you look at it, that's the same team clowning around looking like fools that won 64 games. So it didn't matter then. It shouldn't matter now.
Yeah, I think folks are trying to place it as they weren't taking the Mavs serious.
Yeah. I don't doubt that. I can say what happened in the press conference. One of the press conferences, I think after game 2,
right.
When they were asking them about Luka, and Chris Paul and Devin Booker were kind of yucking it up over there and kind of downplaying it and making it seem like he wasn't a factor. I think that definitely was bulletin board material for the Mavs. Luka definitely took offense to that. And, that's what happens.
Yeah. And at the end of the series, he had better numbers than a lot of those players, right? So
yes, sir.
Combined.
Yeah. Like it seems
more assists than Chris Paul, more points than Booker, and then more rebounds than Ayton or something crazy like that.
Crazy. I think game 3 was the same day of Chris Paul's 37th birthday, right? So he was 37 on game 3. And prior to the series, he looked like he was 30 the way he was playing. But on that game 3, he turned like 80 something, in a matter of minutes. I don't know.
That was the scheme, bro. That was the scheme. I think they shifted schemes. They really paid attention to what was happening on the court. They looked at tape. They made some adjustments, and those adjustments paid off, because after that game 3, everything changed. Momentum shifted, and they figured out how Phoenix was trying to play them, and they utilized their guard play, because I think the guards were big. The Dinwiddie, Brunson, and Luka combination, really sort of did them in. And then also the defensive assignments, they were put, the pressure coming from Bullock and what's the kid's name?
Dorian Finney-Smith.
Yeah, him and the other gentleman. He's from overseas.
Max Kleber.
Max Kleber, yeah. Isn't he from overseas? I thought he was.
He might be. Yeah, I think he is. Yeah.
Those three,
that guy.
Those three, they made an impact, defensively, and you got to give credit where credit's due. And Luka understands he's not the best defensive player, but he was blitzing, and he was also shadowing and showing himself, and not just falling back, you know what I mean, or not trailing a play, So I think those adjustments help. So, give credit what credit's due, man. They played a
Yeah,
hell of a game. They played a hell of a series. And now, again, the trouble that they're going to run against with the Warriors is that depth with the Warriors is something that they haven't seen in quite some time. The Warriors have so much depth. The first game, we look at how many players were in double digits on that team. You had that entire starting squad in double digits, and then you had maybe 2 or 3 players from the bench that had like 10, 11 points. Porter
yeah, it
Jr.
was
had like
definitely one or
15.
two. I know Jordan Poole and someone else.
Yeah, Porter
Yeah,
had at least 15 or 10, But like you look down the list, everyone had like double digit scoring in the Warriors. And that was the difference.
yeah, and
Share the ball.
back to your point about Dallas and what they were doing. Like I was looking at that video that you sent me, and just the way they were disguising their
Yeah.
double teams and traps.
Mhm.
It was really interesting to watch. And mind you, these guys are not necessarily great individually defensively, but as team defense goes, they had a great scheme. They were executing it well. And then you
Right.
talked about and you mentioned the guys that you mentioned, Kleber, Dorian Finney-Smith, and
Bullock
right, and
and
Bullock,
Reggie.
Reggie, like whoever he guards, that dude's in for trouble just by Reggie alone. He don't need no
Right.
help, right?
Right.
And then Spencer Dinwiddie is good defensively.
Mhm.
So yeah, let's not forget the secret weapon. You say what you will, offensively, he can't do much, but defensively, he was locking these dudes up. They showed the stats for Chris Paul and for Devin Booker versus
Right.
Frank Ntilikina.
Yeah.
3 for like 27 or 3 for 30, something crazy like that,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah. But I think more importantly, they have Bullock pressing, on Paul. So just having that equation, having him have to work up the court and not just, coming into their plays just ordinarily, you know what I mean? That also slowed their pace down. And I think that was super important. They did a lot of key moves
Yeah.
defensively.
And I think
The
also
shift.
the communication that Bullock and Ntilikina already have from
Right.
being with the Knicks was very
Yep.
helpful. They got a good chemistry on defense. Another thing,
The length.
a couple things, and 3 things actually. Damn, a lot went out in the series.
Good.
One thing that affected them is Chris Paul is not a break you down athletically speed type of guy. He's methodical and he'll dribble you in circles and then he makes his move. Like he'll run around, he does a little dribble, but he does it in a different way that you can appreciate it. But
Right.
it's slow. So if you got a good scheme against it, you can stop it. And then he can't overcompensate for you stopping his normal moves with like athleticism or with quickness.
Right.
He doesn't have it at this point. So that was really smart. The other thing is, I don't know if that plays a factor in it. Rumors and all that stuff, but we gotta, it is what it is. Mentally, apparently Devin Booker broke up with his Kardashian. Right, I'm just saying, listen, that might make it a tough series on him mentally.
Wait a minute. This ain't TMZ. This is the NBA.
Hey,
report.
you hear it here first. MBK, NBA. Oh, anyway. All right, look. So yeah. Apparently that might have affected him mentally. I don't know. I'm not giving him, I'm just throwing it out there. But the
Right.
most important thing outside of what they did to Chris Paul is whatever is brewing between Phoenix and Monty Williams and DeAndre Ayton. Like, what the hell happened there that all of a sudden Monty Williams said, you quit on us, and then DeAndre Ayton feels unappreciated? Like, that's a big toll on your series. That's their big man, and he's a big part of their team.
Yeah. That'll only help him make a decision going into free agency, right? Because that's really what it comes down to. He's going to be a free agent, and yeah, he didn't have the best series. He also was given the ball in certain situations that he was being asked to sort of be played. He was asked to do things that they weren't doing during the regular season, right? So I think a bit of that was unfair. You know what I mean? Because your guys weren't clicking, then you chose to go to Ayton as a last resort, and Ayton, was sort of trying to do his own thing in the post, and if other teams are disguising their defense against you, if you're not up against it regularly, you're not going to be able to see what play develops, you know what I mean? Or where's the open man to kick it out to, you know what I mean? Because you're not used to playing in that position. You're not used to being ball dominant. And, it affected his game. And he's never really been sort of a player that can, pass out of a double team really well anyway. Like, he hasn't had that much experience doing it. So, but again, this is going to make up his mind, depending on what goes on.
Oh, I think he's out of here. I mean, because he was already feeling a certain type of way. I think he handled himself very professionally, but around the league, there was a lot of people talking about how they didn't pick up his player, his option for extension. Because when they started signing people, some of these young guys to extensions, he was the one that got passed over like immediately. Like RJ, we already knew the Knicks said they weren't going to be touching that; they were going to deal with it later. But Phoenix never said that with Ayton. They were looking at him to extend him, and then just decided not to. So it was a little bit of a slap in the face. Right. And then you all, it's me in the chat. Salute to the chat. We'll get to you guys in a little bit. But it's me said, Monty is a good coach, but he dropped the ball, not making them play in the post with Ayton. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. Like in this series, if you look at Dallas's strengths, especially on the defensive end, it's from the guard position. Like Ayton should have been able to really get busy against a guy like Max Kleber, who's not a slouch. He's better defensively, but Ayton should be able to get his stuff going against him, and then whoever backs him up. And they didn't run the offense through him. And then when you run into situations where everything else is shut down, you expect Ayton to do something. He's got no fluidity, what you're saying. Like you can't do that.
You can't shift it on a guy who hasn't done it all year. Like he hasn't been your number one. He sort of played number 3 in some cases, sometimes 4, being asked to do more rebounding and more, more on the defensive side. But offensively, he hasn't really been a staple in your offense. I mean, there were moments when Booker was out where he stepped up, right? But I don't know. It just seemed like he didn't make those adjustments, and that's the fairly on Monty. You know what I mean? And he was the player coach of the year, so says a lot. Playoffs are different. It's a different animal.
You ain't lying, brother. Like whatever, and that's the other thing. I just want to throw this out there real quick, and we'll get back into what took place. But there's Knick fans. I got to come from a Knick perspective sometimes too, guys. Knick fans were looking at certain guys that we may be interested in the offseason that may still be out there, like Brunson. We'll see. But the longer Dallas is in this, the worse it looks for any team getting Brunson away from Dallas, because you see the need. Donovan Mitchell, people are saying, listen, Donovan Mitchell didn't have a great playoffs. He got exposed. Well, listen, let's take that with a grain of salt. We've seen a lot of stars in this here playoffs that have gotten not exposed, but they haven't had the best showings with defensive intensity, with the pressure, with the right schemes, and not the right scheme on the other side. You run into these problems and things can look really bad. Like you also saw that Donovan doesn't have much help in Utah as far as offensively. If you shut down Donovan, Utah's they're going to struggle, and they did. And even what I thought was really surprising, which is how I bring it back to the series. For all the good we saw Phoenix do this year and how dominant they were, especially when their stars were out, they were just beating teams no matter what. They struggle offensively when you lock down Booker and limit Chris Paul's window to pass the ball. They're in dire straits over there.
But not only that, you look at the guy like Mikal Bridges, his offense struggled a lot,
Very bad series for him.
That's the biggest thing is that, when those guys don't got it going, those other players have to be able to make plays for you. And if they're having off nights, that's going to just make it a lot tougher. And those were the key. That was interesting to see. And what's the point guard's, the backup point guard's name? Payne?
Oh, yeah, Cameron Payne.
Also, Cameron Payne, also didn't have a great series. Cam Johnson, like these guys didn't really show up. Offensively, for the most part, they were sort of non-existent, and they were sort of like waiting to see if they had like it seemed like you were saying, if Chris Paul doesn't have the open lanes to get them the ball in the right situations, then they're sort of caught off guard. They're running against the clock, and you've seen a lot of that, especially after that third game. Once they locked in, it was and they got more comfortable, right? Like the Mavs got comfortable as the series went on and went deeper in the series. They got more and more comfortable because Phoenix never changed their scheme offensively, so they knew exactly what they wanted to do and how they wanted to do it, and they just kept pressing, So
Right, and I hope it's not true. Last thing to say about this, and then we can move on to the other series, is that apparently it was said that Cameron Payne mentioned that the series wasn't really fair when you think about it, because they were struggling due to injury. He had an injury. Devin Booker had an ailing injury that was still affecting him, and Chris Paul had the shin or the something on his leg that was he was dealing with that was hindering him.
right.
I mean, look, this is the basketball. This is sports. You gotta deal with it. That's how it is.
That could be the case, but you can't say that folks on the Mavs team weren't hurting either. Like, there's no telling what sort of injuries they're dealing with either. It's a full season, so you're gonna have to deal with injuries, and you're gonna have to play with them sometimes. That could be, again, you could probably say Booker wasn't 100%, and you could say the same for Paul, but at some point, it's a team game, so the team wins together and they lose together. So it's about the teams that make the adjustments. That those are the teams that they're going to take it to the next level and go to the next round. I mean, look at the Bucks series against the Celtics, right? They were out. They were without Chris Middleton. Some would say that would have been the difference. But again, you play who you got, and then whatever team makes the right adjustments, they're the ones who are going to come on top. So.
Yeah, and honestly, the Bucks played great. Like, that series was phenomenal. The last game was a little iffy, but the series itself, they played fantastic, even without Middleton. However, in the end, you do see how much they missed Middleton. It's that was the wrong guy to have out. It's tough, and I feel bad for Giannis, because he gave his heart and soul in that series.
Right. That's the one thing you have to love about Giannis. Like, he brings it. He leaves it all on the court. He's not worried about next year. He's focused on the now. You know what I mean? And that's the type of player we want as Knicks fans. We want a player who's going to bring it every night. So.
And you know what? Last thing I'll say about this, is regardless of what took place, what excuses you want to make, and even if it affected your top players, your players were out there on the court. So that means they could play. You know how that is. If you can't play, you're not on the court. If you on the court, that means you can play and you do what you got to do. But that showing in Game 7 against the Dallas Mavericks, I don't care what injury you got, was pathetic. It was the worst playoff showing in a Game 7, I think, in history. I think it's definitely the worst I've ever seen from a team that won 64 games in the regular season and was favored to win it all. I've never seen something. It was laughable. They were down by like 27 points going into the half, or 30 points. I don't know. I think 30. Actually, no, it was 27. Luka had 27, and they only scored 27. What is that? That's crazy.
It was, listen, but again, the Mavs were all in. Like, they were locked in. That last game, they were locked in. There was, I think they were at the, like, momentum was on their side. You know what I mean? They understood what Phoenix was trying to do to them, and they just punched them in the face first. You know what I mean? And they didn't, and they kept weaving every counter punch. You know what I mean? That's what it looked like.
Dude, I want to move on so bad from this series and just get into the next stuff. But there's so many storylines. The last thing I wanted to ask you, what the hell happened between CP3 and freaking Patrick Beverly? Yo, this guy hates him. Yo, he got venom for him.
Yeah, I haven't caught that, but I keep hearing like bits and pieces of it, so I have to go back and and listen to
Dude,
what
I
he
don't
said
know
about
what to
CP3.
put. Obviously, I think it must have happened when in the Clipper
Personal.
days, something happened over there because
Must be.
when we saw, remember when they played, when Patrick Beverly played Chris Paul, and at the end of the game, for whatever reason, Patrick Beverly hit him in the back. He just pushed him in the
He
back.
pushed
It looked
him. I
crazy.
remember that.
And I think they threw him out, right? And I was like, what the hell was that? I was like, maybe he said something. There's some bad blood there that is not going away. Patrick Beverly's not letting that die down, bro.
Hey, I'm gonna have to go back and listen to whatever he said, because I was hearing like it was something about like they were showing like clips. I think ESPN had clips of like Matt Barnes speaking on Beverly, and didn't like how he approached, the CP. So I don't even know what exactly went on. So I'm gonna have to take a
Wow,
listen.
I mean that's crazy. I'm curious. So I'm gonna start digging into that too, man. We'll see. We'll see what that's about. Anyway, you know what? Before we move on to the next series, and we could talk about the Celtics and what they did with the Bucks. What a great series that was. Why don't we, why don't we get into the Bismarcky Player of the Week?
Yes, let's do that.
Yeah.
Any guesses?
Yeah, that's right. Come on, man. You knew it was going to happen. Especially, it had to happen this week because, I had to stick it to John, and it's well-deserved, so it makes sense. You can't be mad at it.
I wanted to take a week off. You just didn't let me go, huh?
That's right, man. Luka out here getting busy with it, man. Let's talk about Luka and how he looked, in this past week, especially in that game 7 against Phoenix. I mean, he went out there and he just destroyed them. You want to laugh at me? You want to say I don't play defense? Yeah, I can't guard y'all. Okay, let's see how you guard me. And he did this to everybody on
everyone.
The team. Anybody who was guarding him, bro. Oh, DeAndre, what you doing here? Oh, splash! Looking like
he was having fun too. He was having fun.
And I tell you, I'm gonna tell this to everybody. I can't stand when Luka does his little gloating and his faces, but this game it was warranted. You can have it for this one, Luka. You deserve it, buddy.
Look how wide open he was.
Look
defensively. They were
the outside shot is going. They can't stop him.
But they were nowhere to be found defensively. Like they weren't trapping him. They were just letting him go one-on-one, and he was showing you ain't gonna be able to guard me one-on-one. Look at this. It's all one-on-one. It's all one-on-one.
Sheesh. I mean, he's like, damn, is this real? Is this game 7?
Yeah, y'all gonna let me rock? Okay.
Oh,
look. And they're not even showing a double team there. That's the weird part.
That's just a show.
Yeah, that's all it was. Look at this. Look, Cam got nothing for him.
Oh my God! Come on, Luka! Don't do him like that, B.
Easy work. Look, his chest. Easy work. Yeah, man. But like that momentum, man. And you said it, like they only scored 27, and he already had 27. What was that?
Oh my goodness!
What was that?
That's bad, bro.
That's a rewind. You gotta run that one back.
Oh my God! Like, look where he's shooting from. Oh man, Luka. Look at the
Phoenix fans, man. They're like, can somebody, coach, put me in? I want to play defense.
Oh my God, bro, this is so bad.
look at Monte's face. Like, you made no adjustments, bro.
Look at this. Oh, insult to injury. Let me just finish this off real quick for you guys. Oh, you got. Oh no, you don't. You don't got me. Jeez,
yeah, that was tough. I'm glad I'm not a Phoenix fan.
That's rough, man. Phoenix fans were
Yeah.
It's tough. That's tough. Anyway, yeah, man. So Luka's your Bismarcky Player of the Week. Well deserved. Great showing. He stepped up in the game 7. You know what? Kudos to him. And Phoenix needs to work on some stuff next year. They got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Looks like Chris Paul definitely. I hope this is no indication of how things, because the other thing about this game is Dallas gave everybody the blueprint now. Like, this is what you do against Phoenix and Chris Paul. So I don't expect them to get back there next year. I think it's going to be a much harder road.
Plus, this year, I mean, I got to give him props because they were one of those teams that people picked early because of last year's performance. So they didn't go fall under the radar this year.
Mm-hmm.
They just had so much momentum coming out of that championship series, and coming into this season knowing that they had really a lot of potential. And they understood the team that they had early on, and they played like winners, right? They played like champions. So give them the credit. During the regular season, they were a very tough team to beat, even with certain guys down. They still won. They had a very good scheme. But again, playoffs, man, teams get to lock in. They get to look at a lot of tapes, and then they can make adjustments. And the Mavericks did that. So shout outs to the Mavericks, coaching staff, and just for getting their players ready, man.
Yeah, man. Tap Face, good to see you, man. Thank you for tuning in. If you're out of here, appreciate you, bro. Thank you for showing the love. I just wanted to highlight Parrish Duggar. He said Randall is the only one that takes Luka apart because Randall is too physical for Luka on both ends and quicker. Funny fact. That is true. And the other thing about Randall is if Luka's giving him the business, Randall puts that body on him, and he will hack you up and down.
Right. So, but I mean, when we played them in the series, wasn't RJ on Luka?
At points, but Randall had his go at him too. And I actually think this, if I'm not mistaken, we did really well against them this year.
Yeah. We played them really well.
Yeah. So, man, then that brings us to the series on the other side between Miami and Boston. Once again, shout out to Boston for doing their thing against Milwaukee. That was a tough series, regardless if Middleton was there or not. They had their hands full. Great series to watch. But Boston showed me something in that game 7. They really stepped up, and they knew what it took to end that series and put the nail in the coffin. So Absolutely. That was great for them. And then, of course, it's funny about this first game between Miami and Boston. Like, when you look at the firepower, Miami has some firepower, but you think Boston, right? So it was crazy to watch. And I know there was some they were talking about there was some fans in the building calling Jimmy Butler overrated. Jimmy Butler showed you what he thinks about it, those overrated chants, man. Dropped the 40 piece on you real quick.
Man. And he was playing Tatum one-on-one a lot. So he was showing the type of presence he is on the defensive end as well. I mean, listen, Tatum is going to have to look at this game and realize that he needs to put forth a stronger effort against a Jimmy Butler, because that's the matchup everyone wants to see. And for players like Jaylen Brown, they have to take advantages of their mismatches, which he didn't get. He didn't quite do. You know what I mean? But again, it's going to be a close series. You got both teams are very athletic. Both teams are strong defensively. You know what I mean? So I don't see this being a cakewalk. I think this is going to go deep in the series, maybe game 6, game 7. But it's going to be fun to watch. Boston plays tonight, right?
They're supposed to, yeah.
Yeah. So they're probably playing right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think they are.
Yeah, they're about to start. Something like that. But yeah, it's gonna be a great matchup, man. I'm looking forward to watching that once
it just started. Yeah, it's 5-5.
Once we sign off, I'm looking forward to watching the rest of that game.
Yeah, that's a good game, man. That's a good game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's tough, man. That's gonna be a tough matchup, a dog fight. And yeah, you're right. Tatum's got to make some adjustments. He's got to step up physically too against that team because they're tough. And Jimmy Butler is not the same. He's not regular season Jimmy. This is playoff Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy don't care no more. He's gonna put it all out there.
Jimmy don't care.
Jimmy don't care.
Jimmy talk to himself like that.
Jimmy don't care.
Jimmy don't care. Jimmy about to win this game.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I like the Celtics in this series.
Yeah,
but it's tough because
you have Miami, didn't you?
No. Yeah. Because this is the thing about Miami. Miami's got stuff that hasn't clicked for them yet, and they've been winning these. Like Tyler Hero has struggled in these playoffs. If Tyler Hero gets going and Miami keeps doing what Miami does, it's going to be tough for you to beat Miami. With Jimmy Butler doing what he's doing, If you get Bam is another person who has struggled in this playoffs. You get some contribution from him and Tyler Hero. They're tough. They're gonna be a rough team.
The one thing that you don't lose from those guys though is the defensive energy.
Yeah,
Right. They come in, they bring that intensive and that energy defensively, even if their game offensively isn't going well. So Boston has to stay they just have to stay active. You know what I mean? Stay active offensively, and just work with each other. You know what I mean? Like not be unselfish with their play. I think they're a better team when they're unselfish and they're giving looks to guys like Grant Williams. You know what I mean? And other players on that team. So we'll see.
That makes sense, man. That makes sense. Like, but I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens now. Like Robert Williams was hurt for a lot of the previous series with Milwaukee. He came back towards the end. Will he be a big factor for Boston in the Miami series going forward? Will Al Horford, who had some really nice games against Milwaukee early, but then kind of tailed off towards the end. His last 3 games were rough. Really rough, actually.
He needs a rest.
Yeah, maybe. Will he
He's an older man. He's an older man.
He is, man. He's a veteran. Yeah. So like that, all that stuff plays into it. But definitely, great effort by Jaylen Brown the last couple games, and Marcus Smart has been huge for them. I see why he got that Defensive Player of the Year.
He's their Draymond Green, right? He's that team's Draymond Green. He's the guy who's outspoken. He's getting them to their defensive assignments. He's calling things out as the game is going on, and he's hit some really big shots over the years. And this last series, he hit some open shots that were necessary. And he's going to be a big part of them winning this series if they get by Miami.
Yeah, I agree with you. Also, that is under the radar, man. I'm gonna let me star that. I'm gonna get back to that movies and stuff. We'll talk about that in a little bit. He was just mentioning something about a sneaky hire that the Knicks did that was under the radar, but we'll bring that up in a little bit. Yeah, man. So let me ask you first, because I didn't get your take on it. In that Phoenix, in the Dallas Warriors series, who you got winning? I think I know the answer, but I just want to hear it.
The Warriors.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, I'm saying Warriors in 6. I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk. I think you're going to see the Mavs pull out some wins. I think they're going to be some close wins. But I think they're going to pull out some wins. I just think that the Warriors have way too much firepower, and it seems like they're really clicking right now. By the looks of it, they shared the ball extremely well this past game. And like I said, there was I don't know how many players in double digits, but I think it was the majority that played were in double digit scoring. So they're going to be a tough team to beat, especially because unlike Phoenix that like to get in their sets, the Warriors play sort of random speed offense, right? They can push the ball up the court and jack up a 3 at any moment. They don't care about getting into sets. They'll get into sets if you stop them in transition, but they're not primarily focused on getting into their own sets. They know what their sets are when they get to them, but they're trying to get out in the break. They're trying to get some defensive stops, and player like Stephen Curry is a very hard matchup for anybody in Dallas because he is so dynamic, and the guy could put the ball on the floor, and get to the rack, as you've seen in this past game. He can get to the rack with ease. He's patient. He can shoot free throws, even though he didn't shoot it that well this past game. But then when he starts getting going, he can light you up from the outside. And that's hard to defend because he just brings you way beyond the 3-point line to face him. And it opens up everything else for the rest of the team. And not to mention, you get Clay going, and Jordan Poole now. It's a tough matchup.
That's a fact, brother. You ain't lying. That's a tough team to deal with, bro. When they get going, like the only thing that you can say that traditionally has happened so far in these playoffs is, if you show Jordan Poole some different looks, you may fluster him a little bit, take him a little while to figure it out. and Clay is a very streaky shooter. So
Right.
you're gonna know that at some point in this series, Clay's, he's gonna have some struggle games, but then one of these games, maybe two, Clay is gonna bust out. So you gotta just kind of limit the exposure from these Warriors because Steph has been the most consistent player. Even last game, I think
last series,
about 20, last series he definitely was the most consistent. And then last game,
21 points.
They won. He only had about 21 points.
Yeah.
So, but he still had more than everybody else. Like he's been, it's good to see, man. After little injury scare he had coming into the playoffs, he's been pretty solid.
Listen, that's the Warriors are the team, in my opinion, that will win it this year. So if I had to pick a team to win it all at this point in time, I'm going with the Warriors. I think I said it earlier in the playoffs. That's a team to be careful with. They're sort of a team that you may not see coming, but could be a contender to win. I think they're right there. They just need to get over the hump. Once they get over this series, they're going to have to go up against a really tough team, whichever they face, either Miami or Boston. It's not going to be easy, but their road to victory is going to be one that's going to be one for the ages, right? Because that's going to make, everyone, look at this Warriors team, the trio, as legendary winners, right? Like guys who go into the Hall of Fame for winning that many championships, like core three, Draymond, Steph and Clay.
Right.
You got to look at them as a trio because they've been together from the beginning. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think they're going to get past the Mavs, so we'll see.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm picking the Warriors as well, and I actually like 6 games as well. I don't think it's going to go 7. It shouldn't. So I think Warriors in 6 makes sense to me as well. So what is that? How do you feel about? Because this obviously is a much more physical, much more evenly matched series between Boston and Miami. Who do you got winning this one?
I like the way Boston ended the year. They had the best streak out of all teams. They went through a nice streak at the end of the season. And so they figured out how to play in tough situations in close games. But Miami has that history, right? They're only a year removed from their championship. So I don't know. This is sort of a toss-up. So I'm gonna say Boston. It could go either way, but I'm gonna go with Boston. I think Boston got enough to get past Miami.
Yeah, I can dig that. I can dig it. I think in the end, there's something special about Boston this year. I know as a Knicks fan, that's tough for me to say, bro. But
it'll be tough for us to say either one of these teams.
I know.
To
that's
be
what
honest,
someone was
Miami
saying.
and Boston.
Boston versus Miami. How do we deal with this one? I have no clue.
It is what it is at that point, right?
Yeah, we listen. Yeah, that's what turned out. Listen, they were the better teams throughout the year, and they're here and they deserve it, man. But they whatever we saw, it's just crazy, man. Because what we saw from Boston early in the season, we thought like not that they were finished, but we just didn't think this was going to be Boston's year, and they turned it around because of us. Apparently, they used us and how we beat them. Yeah, so. We'll take credit.
Hey,
let's go Knicks.
We have to do something right.
Yeah, man. It is what it is. It is what it is. So, yeah, that's interesting. So this should be pretty fun, man. I'm excited. And we'll get out of here in a little bit, so everybody who's rocking with us can go watch the rest of the matchup. But what I wanted to talk about real quick, guys, is let's see if we can pull this up. I don't know. Maybe I got it. Maybe. Let's see here. Look at that. Yeah, I got something. Because, we did see the NBA lottery results took place on this past Tuesday. And unfortunately, Knicks finished where, people thought they'd finished.
Yeah,
And
we were projected to go 11th, and yeah, we're 11th.
there we go. There we go. And Jose, sorry, I don't mean to step on your toes. I know you're running stuff in the back. I just wanted to handle that real quick. Put that up there because I found it. Yeah, man, look at that. One, I think what's interesting here, it's good that the Knicks finished 11, so they didn't go worse.
Right.
It would have been great if they got into the top 4, but that was a slim hope. I think what's interesting here is the fact that Sacramento is 4th.
Just about to say that.
Yeah, I thought that was very interesting.
Not only that, even the Houston Rockets at 3 is very interesting as well. Those are the 2 teams. If there are any teams the Knicks can sort of bargain a trade with, those are the teams that I would look to make a move with. Because Houston, they're guard heavy, right? They got their guard of the future. So they're not going guard early on. So there's an opportunity for us to sort of move up in the boards in order to get a top guard. I mean, who you got projected as the first guard off the board?
I think the first guard off the board is going to be Jaden Ivey.
Right.
But I really think that Shaedon Sharpe might be the better player. The only problem with Shaedon Sharpe is he hasn't shown it on the college level yet. So we're looking at high school tape. And high school, he's like a man against boys the way he's playing against these guys. So it's tough.
So think about how Houston is built now, right? They got themselves a kid who sort of came out of high school themselves, right? Jalen Green only played, minor league ball and then came right into the league. So he played in the G League for 1 year, right? So this is unless they're willing to match him up with another young prospect in that way, I could see them looking to trade down a bit, and gather some assets. So those will be the 2 teams that I'm calling. I'm calling on. I'm reaching out to both Houston and Sacramento and seeing what's available. Not to mention Sacramento, if they choose to move away from being, remember they still have their what's the young man's name? They still got their point guard, lefty.
Oh, the one that they drafted, you mean, or De'Aaron Fox?
De'Aaron Fox. They got De'Aaron Fox, and they got the one that they drafted, Mitchell. What's his name? Mitchell.
Davion,
right? Yeah. So they got him as well. So it would all depend. Are they looking to go get a guard? Because if they are, I wouldn't mind grabbing one of the 2 of those players, and bringing Fox to New York. There's a possibility there. So I would say reach out, man. If you're the front office, if you're listening, do some calls, make some calls.
It's interesting because the other thing is, though, the top 3 picks.
Yeah. I see Orlando keeping theirs, right?
Yeah, but I could see that the top 3 players that might go in the draft all fit Houston, what Houston would need. True. And the other thing is Christian Wood may not be back with Houston. So you're already losing a big player who's a forward for your team. So when you think of what most people have as the top 3 picks in the draft, you're talking Paolo Banchero, you're talking Jabari Smith, and then you're talking Chet Holmgren. These are all big guys. So that all kind of fits Houston. So it may be tough to make a move with Houston. Where you might be able to make a move is more with Sacramento. Because Sacramento will be out of those top 3 bigs that they could use, and they also have Domantas Sabonis, so there may not be a need to grab one of those guys.
So they may be looking guards.
Yeah, they may be looking guards. So it could be a situation where I don't know if the Knicks could even make a trade with them, because what could we give them that would be a sexier guard than what they could draft it for? That's the tough part,
right?
So, I mean, but I wouldn't be surprised if another team doesn't jump on it. Another team might say, listen, we got something for you.
Right.
So it's interesting. And guys, if you haven't already seen on Still Knicks Fans, we're doing a draft series. We've already done the first part, and that's brought to you by Still Knicks Fans and my man D Poetic, a.k.a. D is Ballin', if you guys are familiar with him. He's great at looking at analysis and scouting teams, and that's what he loves to do. And also we had the featured assistance of my man Prophet from Feats Sports, right. and he gave his take on a lot of things. So it's good because you see differences of opinion, you see some agreement wholeheartedly on both ends, but there's also some differences. They give reasons, they break everything down. So if you guys haven't checked out the draft series, go over to Still Knicks Fans and check that out. There's also a couple shorter videos that are just if you're interested in what the Knicks are doing. Right. There's a video about who the Knicks can pick at 11. As we go along, we're going to break that down even further, but that's what we have for now. That was prior to the lottery results. And then there's also a video about the second round and different sleepers that the Knicks may target. And listen, even if the Knicks don't target those guys, those are sleepers that any team can use that we put out there. So definitely go check that out on the Still Knicks Fans channel.
Those 3.5 hours of straight statistical analysis and breakdowns. I loved it. I listened to all of it. I listened to all of it. I tuned in.
And don't worry, guys. If you're not ready for 3.5 hours, and if you're really interested in certain takes on certain people, certain players, there's timestamps. Just click on that timestamp to see exactly who you want to see.
I see you, Ron. I see what you're doing.
A little bit. So now this brings us to the point where I wanted to throw this out there. With regards to the Knicks, I see some people have put it in the chat. The Knicks secretly hired, I mean, it's secret to us. Maybe it's not so secret. They hired Tim Hardaway. That's right. That Tim Hardaway from Miami days, the father of Tim Hardaway Jr. They hired him as a scout. I mean, I don't think I've ever saw that coming. And okay, and this is the interesting thing, guys. You hiring Tim Hardaway. Remember who he is and what he did as a scout. What type of player you think he's looking at? You think they brought in Tim Hardaway to look at the big men? Just saying. Just saying.
I see what you did there.
I'm just saying. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there, So, that's an interesting thing. And thank you to Glenn Costin for putting that out there. Also, thank you to Movies and Stuff. I saw you mention that as well, man. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, man. So, I think that's interesting. But this is the order once again. Orlando Magic got the first pick. Oklahoma City second. Houston third. Sacramento fourth. Detroit fifth. Indiana sixth. 7 was Portland, or is Portland. New Orleans is 8, which I think that New Orleans pick, I don't know if they keep that or does that go to the Lakers? I'm not too sure about that.
I think they keep it. I think they keep it.
Number 9 is San Antonio. 10 is Washington. 11 is New York, the Knicks. 12 is Oklahoma City once again. 13 is the Charlotte Hornets. And 14 is the Cleveland Cavaliers. And let this be a lesson to you guys, because there's a lot of Knicks fans who are upset, and maybe some fans of other teams that are upset that their teams were bad, but they didn't tank necessarily. They won games that they shouldn't have.
Right.
Indiana and Portland. I don't know off the top of my head, but one team won 27 games, the other one 25. Some of the worst records in the league. And they're picking 6 and 7. They didn't even get in the top 4. So it doesn't necessarily make sense to tank because you don't know what the odds are. Philadelphia had it locked up years ago. They changed that. So now it's not, it's not something you can.
I don't know about that one. Orlando had the worst record in the NBA, and they got number 1.
They were the worst. I guess if you want to be that bad, maybe you got a good shot.
Sometimes you got to tank that badly.
So the problem
to
is
secure yourself a top 3 pick, you sometimes have to take.
You got to go all in, bro. You got to,
you
go
can't
out
be
there.
Halfway, 1 foot inside the door. You got to be all the way.
Yeah. Listen, you hire me to come down and give me that G League contract. I'll play like 10, 15 games. Don't you worry. I'll make sure that our team is not doing well. Naturally, I ain't gonna do nothing bad. You just see the results will be the proof is in the pudding.
That's funny.
Yeah, man.
No, but how like the person who I was looking at was Dame Lillard, right? And when they announced 7, see it in his face. He was just like so disappointed. He was just like, what are we gonna do here?
Yeah, I know it was tough. And I saw when they announced 11, I know they knew it, but looking at Worldwide West, his face was like,
that's exactly what we thought.
yeah, okay, it could be worse. Yeah, man, but thank you guys. I want to take this time, John, for us to get our romper room on, man. See who we see out there in the chat before we get up out of here.
Shout outs to White Falcon, and he also gave a shout out to Little Bron for his prom. I think he's graduating this year, so from high school.
Oh man, yeah, there's a lot of controversy with that. It really should leave Bronny alone, man.
Yeah, man.
Geraldine McIver, salute to you. E. Gibson,
Pudge Nice,
Jerry Fitz,
shot clock violation.
Yes, Glenn Costin, my man Shaw Powers in the building.
Sherwin M,
Dan Marrero.
Who else we got?
Who else you see? Who else you see out there?
Quality Jumper.
Ah, my man, Quality Jumper.
See who we got. We got Andrew. I'm not gonna try to pronounce that last name. I'm gonna butcher it. Who else we got? Paris Duggar. Did we say did we give a shout out to E. Gibson?
Yeah, I got E. Gibson. Yeah. Cully, what's going on? Cully's in the building.
Cully's in the
Worldwide
building.
L, I see you. Once again, shout out to Tat Face. I got you earlier. Almighty Finesse, what's good? It's me. We got Paris Duggar, Dope Soul Sports Talk. Once again, shout out to the Queen Steph, aka the Queen's Court. Dope Soul Sports Talk. Who else we got here? Sherwin M, you got?
Yep. Worldwide L's in the building.
Yes, movies and stuff.
Yep.
Appreciate you.
Dan Marrero.
Yeah, Dan Marrero. I think we hit everybody who's in the chat. And also to the people who are watching that aren't in the chat, and appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Much love to y'all. And you know what, man? Listen, before we get out of here, I'm gonna add a little something to the mix. So because the NBA draft party is coming up, guys.
Yes, we gotta show love.
Yeah, man, that's gonna be pretty fun. I'm excited for it. I know that last year I had a great time. I met a bunch of great people, and listen, that's actually how this whole thing kicked off. That was my introduction to Simeon Russell and the rest of the MBK crew. I met Steph, and I got to meet Guillermo and Tony Crow, and I met Julito, and I got to meet Chris, the entertainer, man. So many different people. Simeon Russell's wife. Listen, have you ever been to any MBK events? She is like holding it down, doing everything behind the scenes, man. Definitely salute to her. I got to meet her and a bunch of other great people. I met Isaiah. Chef Zay was in the building. It was really fun, man. I had a really great time, and I met a bunch of other Knicks fans that I see in the chat sometimes. So it was great.
And on the humble, which was crazy. On the humble, I remember you like, yo, I'm on vacation over here, and all of a sudden MBK's over there. And you're like, yo, guess who's over here?
Man. It was unbelievable, man. It was a great situation. These things happen, and you take advantage of the situation, and really I couldn't be more happy. It's a fantastic experience for me.
Right. And a few months later, we're part of the team. Do you know what I mean? So
look at that,
Sim, man, for giving us an opportunity to join the crew.
Definitely thank you to Sim for giving us that opportunity and that moment to be a part of this Nothing But Knicks network, man. Great relationships, great people, and great content.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, John, before we get to the draft commercial, you got any final words, brother?
As always, looking forward to next time, and stay blessed, everyone.
I mean, listen, it's a man. That's how he does it. Man. Thank you to everybody once again for being here, watching, and tuning in. Bamboo Music, I see you. Thank you for tuning in.
I wish we could trade tips. No, kidding.
Did anybody else jump in that we might have missed? No, I think everybody's there. Yeah, we got everybody else. Thank you for tuning in, Bamboo Music. And whatever you missed, listen, watch the replay, man. It's right there. You see what we went over. Pretty fun times in the NBA. This has been a great experience. As there's nothing else I can say about it. Thank you to Jose on the ones and twos, holding us down
all the time.
And thank you to everybody supporting Still Knicks Fans. And what we got going on. We couldn't have done any of this without you. Jose, can you do the honors and play that draft party video? It's up there, man. So I don't want to steal everybody's thunder, man. Everybody shine. Jose be holding us down, brother. Let's see.
The second annual NBK draft party in Atlantic City. There'll be a live podcast, live DJ, live video shoot. $40 for a VIP ticket, $30 for draft night only. Get your tickets now.
Yes, that's right, guys. There it is, June 23rd in Atlantic City. It's being held at the Flagship Hotel and Resort. Like you mentioned, man, you get a draft beer, you get a buffet. That's $30 for the night of, and if you want to be a part of both days, there's going to be a brunch happening the next day. Same type of buffet situation, but no, probably not no draft beer though. So, but definitely, man, there's some different things they have lined up, some events and different giveaways and stuff. There might even be some basketball action, I heard. So we'll see. That's for $40. So for the 2 days. So definitely get yourself a ticket, man. Come on to Atlantic City and show your love, and we get to hang out and chill. Truth and Lies of the Philippines. Thank you for joining up. Appreciate y'all. We're about to get up out of here, but thank you once again for tuning in. Watch the replay if you haven't already and you missed it. It's there for you. We'll see you on the next one. Tell a friend who tells a friend who tells another friend. Still Knicks Fans. We'll be back again. NBA Report, MBK. We out of here, baby. Run that. Run that.